Hello and welcome to Totally Rovers with a couple Blackburn Rovers fans talking about Rovers. On the pod, we're going to be discussing Rovers against Norwich, followed by a summary of the start to the 25-26 season as we head into the international break. I'm going to give you a heads up with an apologies in advance here because the sound quality on the pod has a technical glitch where the sound quality suffers, but hopefully you can still listen to it and enjoy the pod. Anyway, we're going to get onto it.
On the pod, of course, it's myself, Luke, and we've got Liam. So, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not so bad. Day off today, finally. So, productive walk with dog this morning. I was out for a good few hours. We've done a good 4, 5, maybe 6 mile. It was good. I enjoyed it. Nice. And then this evening, I'm hosting a quiz at my local pub. So, busy day today. I always make time for the pod.
Brilliant. It looks like you've got a very productive day ahead of you.
What about yourself? How's your day been?
My day has been good so far. I mean, I got up nice and early, went on for a bike ride while the weather was nice, which was a stark contrast to the walk back to the car after the match over the weekend. So, all in all, I'm all right. I'm quite good. It's nice to get that fresh air and that exercise. So, anyway, let's get started onto the game against Norwich City. On the back end of this. Oh dear.
As the Chuckle Brothers used to say. Oh dear.
Is it to me to you next then?
I wish there was a bit more me to you in that game.
It probably would be.
There was just a lot of oh dear.
Oh, it definitely was.
They were like, watching a pair of Chuckle Brothers on the pitch.
Right. We were on the back end of a 3-0 victory away from home against Stoke, which Rovers got their first win of the season and the first clean sheet of the season. Hopefully, we were going to be back home at Ewood Park, carrying that momentum on from the last game and into the next game against Norwich City. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be, which is quite frustrating, really, because Norwich City had quite a bad week running up to the game. They were, on the last league game, they were on the back end of a 2-1 home defeat to Middlesbrough. And then they were out of the cup tie during the week. And as we didn't have a cup tie during the week, we had a bit more respite and time to prepare for the game, which we should have capitalised on and took advantage of. And not only that, Norwich had sold one of their key midfielders with a controversial transfer to Ipswich Town with Nunez going. That could have been something we could have took advantage of and capitalised on, which is quite frustrating that we didn't. But anyway, the first game, though, was like very scrappy, very cagey first half from both sides. I thought Rovers were quite sloppy on the ball, either with the ball was cheaply given away, the passes were either too heavy and not going in the right direction, or the players were in the right position. We weren't quite firing on all cylinders. It was quite a slow start to the game. But Norwich, in the hand, probably weren't at their best from what I saw. I mean, they had some attempts on goal, but a lot of them were off target. But Balashov did do 1 or 2 crucial saves in the game. And Josh Sargent did have a couple of shots on goal in the first half, which were off target because they were forced out wide with our defence. So forcing them out of the way and pressing them out wide. But obviously, in the run up to the break, we were left exposed at the back. And Josh Sargent was 1-on-1 with Sean McLaughlin. And Sean McLaughlin did a suicidal challenge on Sargent, which
over the top, weren't it?
Yeah, it was a very over the top challenge. It was a reckless challenge which could have been avoided. I mean, if it's lesser 2 evils, he should have just tried chasing him down and pressing him on rather than doing that challenge and grappling him. I mean, it's a dubious decision when I looked at the replay because the contact was made outside the box, but it looked like that Sargent saw that opportunity to try and get the penalty as well. And then obviously, inevitably, McLaughlin got sent off. And I'm not going to dispute or argue with the referee's decision on that because it was straight red. 1-on-1, goal scoring opportunity. You just don't do it, And I think it was a big risk, but obviously that gamble never took off. It never paid off at all. And we ended up being a man light just into half time and being a goal down, which isn't great.
It was a decent ball over the top, though. It was a decent ball over the top from them. we were caught napping, and like you say, there was no need. But as soon as Sargent felt, and you saw him tug, on him, and as soon as he tugged on it, and I personally thought it was just on the edge outside the box when the contact was made. But as soon as he felt that tug, you know he was going to throw himself down in the box. You knew it was coming, and
Yeah,
it was always going to be a red card because he was last man. He was through 1-on-1. So
yeah,
that
absolutely.
tug was not needed. Like you said, it was suicidal. It was just stupidity, in my opinion.
Just a schoolboy error, wasn't it, as well from God?
Oh yeah,
because it's quite frustrating because McLaughlin did actually start quite well. He slotted in quite nicely at Rovers, and obviously with him being suspended, we've got Scott Wharton who's going to be starting in the next game. I don't know how long his ban going to be. It's going to be one game or it might be 3 due to the challenge. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 games that McLaughlin is out.
because it's a straight red. It might well be 3.
I think it'll give Scott Wharton a chance to step up and try and reclaim a spot in the heart of the Rovers defence. I mean, the changes made by Blair and Ishmael were tactical changes. Sini Tavares had to be taken off. Wasn't really convincing. Didn't have the best of games when he was on, to be fair. But that took away a bit of ammunition on our midfield, which meant Todd Cantmore to play a more deep line role in the midfield, not play as higher up the byline like he's used to, and where he's more effective. So he played a deep role, more to support Tronstad, really, as well as to be the guy to press the ball forward, as well as dig deep back in defence as well. So that was there were changes that were made there. So, but into the second half, though, Rovers actually performed a lot better. We were spending more time in Norwich's half, trying to keep going for a goal. Yeah. And I thought in the final third, it was really frustrating throughout the game, whether it was the first half or the second half. The decision making from the forwards, whether it was Ohashi, Hedges, or Cogbo, we seemed a little bit short of confidence, and that was reflected in their decision making. They didn't seem to be thinking on their feet when they were on the ball, when they were higher up the line, playing out wide or higher up the pitch, particularly when they got balls passed to them through Alabiosu, Cantwell, or Ribeiro. They were a little bit hesitant on what to do next. Like Cogbo, for example, I think had a very off game over against Norwich. He had the pace, but there wasn't much more than that. His positioning.
He should have scored. There was one where there was like a little bit of a scramble in the box, weren't there?
Yeah. There was that. That was one of the things I'm going to actually come to about Cogbo.
Fair enough.
His end product just wasn't there. I mean, he had like 2 clear-cut opportunities in the box to score. But to be fair to Norwich's keeper, they were decent saves as well.
Yeah.
And Cogbo had them attempts on goal. But when you're in a position like that, you got to take your chances. And that was one of the takings from the game, was that you don't take our chances, we get punished. And I don't want that to be a recurring theme for Rovers going into the season. And I think it was a bit like the West Brom game in a way. There were more chances in this game than there was against West Brom because we had Cantwell on the pitch, and obviously you had Alabiosu and Rivera helping to distribute the ball forward to them as well. But it was very frustrating. And I don't think, as well as Cogbo, I don't think Ryan Hedges had the best of games either for us. I thought when the ball was passed to him further up the pitch, I think it was in the first half, he didn't go and run at the opposition and go running forward. He just kept looking around, going, "Well, I need to pass the ball." Instead, just going in and going for it, being brave and taking a shot and goal when there's a chance there you can take. It's so frustrating. It's very frustrating. And Ohashi had 1 or 2 moments, but he was very much isolated throughout the game. So chances for Ohashi were few and far between. I mean, there was one chance that he caught Norwich's keeper out of his line. Did a cheeky shot, but it went just wide. I mean, that would have been a very cheeky goal if that went in the first half. But all in all, I just think we were very toothless on that final third.
It was very, very different to the display we saw the game before. It was almost like we were happy that we finally got that win over the line. right, now we don't have to worry as much now, and they just didn't seem to show up, in my opinion. There just seemed to be a lack of. I'm trying to think
A
of the
lack
word.
of a lack of desire.
Lack of desire. Not saying that there is a lack of desire, but that's how it came across. Going off how much they were put. I mean, you saw the game before the 3-0. The way they were pumped up, I didn't see that coming from anywhere, and I was very, very much taken aback by the fact that we were all over them. They weren't giving. Didn't seem like that this time around. We didn't seem as fired up and as at them, and as it was like we were inviting the pressure onto us. We were happy to let them come at us, and it would just look like a completely different side to the side that played against Hull.
I think I was wrong about saying lack of desire. It was more of lack of confidence. I think that was probably. I think I'll rephrase that.
Possibly,
Lack
which
of
is
confidence.
strange coming off a 3-0 win against a team like Hull, who have started well in the season. You'd think the confidence would be up now, or at least better than it was. But no, it was like it had gone the opposite direction after that 3-0
Yeah,
win.
it was like the shackles were on them as well in a way, and I think that was one of the more frustrating parts. And going back to Carbo, when I said about his speed and his pace, his positioning wasn't great either. I
I
think he
like
was.
Carbot, and
Oh,
like his finisher was terrible.
yeah, it weren't just that though. His positioning as well. Like he kept overlapping with Alabiosu instead of digging it deep, or he wanted to play a bit further central. I think it's because Carbo is a left-sided player and a left-footed player,
Yeah,
which looked like more apparent in the game against Norwich. He's more comfortable playing on the left flank than on the right flank. So, but hopefully with Maury through the door, that could probably like put him playing on the left as an option besides Hedges. And my assessment of Carbo so far is I think he's much better as an impact player than as a starter for Rovers, particularly with his pace. I think that's where Carbo will be better in our locker going into this season. I think he's still adapting to the league, still very raw, still needs that nurturing as well. So that's how I thought of it. But obviously, Gahey came on for Ohashi later on in the game. And as well as the changes made by Ishmael in the attack in front, I felt he left it a little bit late going on there. I thought he should have took Carbo off at the 60, about the hour mark, maybe even the 70th minute, but we're about 75 minutes in. So all the changes were made. Miller was brought on, and Mori was brought on, our new Japanese signing. He played on the left flank to take Hedges off, and Alabiosu played further up the right to have Lewis Miller doing the defensive duties, which I thought was actually probably one of the better moves there. But I felt that we could have made them change a bit quicker. And I thought, well, we were 1-0 down as well, pressing on, having some fresh legs, and maybe some new ideas coming from Mori and Alabiosu on that right on the flanks out wide. But Gahey was very ineffective when he came on as a sub. The amount of times myself and fans at the game were shouting at him for being offside. What Gahey didn't do throughout the game was watch the Norwich backline. He was staying online with them, but they made the move too quickly, one too many times. And I did see Valerian Ishmael shout at him to hold yourself back a bit, run from behind. And it was so frustrating to see from Gay. And when you need goals at the stage of the game like that, I don't think Gay is the answer for a team like Norwich City, because there was more free-flowing football on the pitch. If it was a game where there's a lot of dead balls and set pieces, he's actually more effective for that with his size and height. But it got me asking, going, why did you not play Harry Leonard? Why did you not have him on the bench and have him as an option up front to get the ball in net? Because when Alabiosu and Mori and even Ribeiro and Cantwell have the ball to press forward and pick out their passes and try and create chances, Harry Leonard is the best person to have in the box that can run off them players and being at the right place at the right time. And he's got much better finishing than Gay. He's got that goal instinct in him. So I think, and after what we saw against Sunderland last season, I thought that could have been the answer to us. And have Harry Leonard having an opportunity to score a goal for us and maybe be part of Rovers this season. Josh Sargent, of course, was the man that really separated the sides. They were the two moments as well.
Was a very nice finish.
It was. I hate to admit that, but that was a great goal. And we were once again.
I'm not going to be. I know I'm a Rovers fan, and I'm always going to be slightly biased towards Rovers, but I'm not going to be biased at all. That was a cracking goal.
It was a cracking goal. I hate. I've got to take my hat off to Sargent with that goal because that was a cracking goal. And once again, we were exposed at the back.
Yep.
And Scott Wharton was left chasing Sargent. We were exposed, and I think it was just Wharton and Hyam in it at that time.
Yeah.
Because we played so high up, and they didn't really have the support or anybody's in the box to mark Sargent, and he was left unmarked with plenty of space, and he just killed the game off. But in summary, it all sums up to be a very frustrating afternoon for Rovers.
It does.
And I think we shot ourselves in the foot on a couple of occasions. The penalty, of course, with Sean McLaughlin being sent off, not taking our chances, being toothless on the final third. And another one is the lack of discipline or lapses of concentration when it comes to defending. I mean, they're what cost us the game against Norwich over the weekend. And it, sums up to be a very frustrating afternoon. I mean, Norwich will do well to keep hold of Josh Sargent out of the season. And I'm sure they're going to be praying that this transfer window is over and that Sargent stays put for the rest of the season. Or till January at the very least, to give him a bit of a head start and all that lot for the season. So, that was going to international break.
We've got an international break now, so we've got a bit of time each week before our next game. Fingers crossed we can come back off that. Head's a bit clearer, maybe a bit more confidence, and start to kick on, because we need to start kicking on, picking up some points.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we've got 3 points out of a possible 12 in the championship so far. And we have had tough opposition in our first 4 matches. And the only game we got points from is the team that made a hedge their bets on struggling in the championship this season. So I suppose that's a different tradition of Rovers, is actually getting points from a team that's doomed for relegation for once, which is quite strange actually, because we didn't get that last season.
No.
So that's the Rovers game against Norwich, and as we go into the international break, of course, we've got a few Rovers players that are on international duty. Dom Hyam got a call for Scotland. Cogbo got a call for Sierra Leone, and obviously got Yukio Hashi and Mori, a new signing. They're on international duty.
Toth got signed as well.
Toth as well, and Lewis Miller. And speaking of Toth, I know the scoreline doesn't look great, but he was pretty solid in goal as well. So I have to give him with his crucial saves and distribution of ball. I don't think can't really blame him for Josh Sargent's second goal though. I don't think there was much he could have done about that.
I don't think anybody could have done much with that, keeper-wise.
No, not at all. So we're just going to summarise Rovers, how they've done throughout the season. The first 4 games, as we're going to international break, we can talk about our start has been. I mean, the results don't show us in a good light.
No,
with 3 points out of possible 12. I don't think that tells the whole story with Rovers.
Doesn't, but I do think we could have started off a bit better than we have done. We've been definitely showing lack of confidence, but like you say, it's a big squad overhaul.
Yeah, it's going to take time, isn't it?
Players that were there last season, that were key figures towards the end of last season, going, and then a lot of new faces to try and bed in and get settled and get used to the technical and competitive nature of the championship. So it's going to be a bedding in process. So it could be another 3, 4, 6 weeks before you start to see some of the players that we brought in getting to the best of their abilities and start to show what they can do. So as much as it's been frustrating and tough to watch at times and tough to witness as starting off in a poor manner, there are glimpses with the game against Hull. There are glimpses that we've got a team here that could really, really be all right. It's just we need some time, I think.
Yeah, it will take time for the team to gel. I mean, there are some players that we've seen so far on the early impressions that are adapting to the league quite quickly. And some are going to take a bit more time.
True.
Only time will tell, really. But we have sacrificed championship experience, which I think is probably what is glaringly obvious as well with the start that we've had to the season. I mean, the only championship players we've got right now, championship experience. Because we've got Hyam, McLaughlin, Tronstad, Cantwell. And I know Hashy's got one season under his belt. So is Gay. Ryan Hedge is another senior player on there. And Ribeiro, I'd say, is another one. But I think we're still a little bit light in terms of the championship experience. But all in all, the performances from Rovers haven't been that bad, despite what the results say. West Brom, we weren't firing all cylinders there. I mean, there weren't much. I don't think we were that convincing. I think a point would have been the best that we got. Birmingham, I think we're much more promising in terms of performance. It was just a lapse of concentration to see the game out that cost us. Obviously, Hull, best display of what Rovers can do. We're seeing up what Rovers really can do. If we see more of that this season and being more consistent. But like we said, we've had a massive squad overhaul. It's going to take time for the team to gel. We're going to be quite inconsistent with that as well, with the teething problems that there is as well. And then obviously there's the Norwich game. It's a bit of a combination of West Brom and Birmingham, I think, in terms of the performance and the moments that were made as well.
I don't think we played that badly against West Brom, like you say. So
no, but we weren't particularly great either.
No, but and like I said, the loss to Birmingham was a hard one to take because it was just like we just switched off. It wasn't like we played bad up most of the game.
Yeah, I think we shot ourselves in the foot with
Because quite easily walking out with six, 7 points after these first three, 4 games, and we'd be talking in a completely different light here.
Yeah, I think with the schoolboy errors that we made, we have dropped a couple of points at least on the game as well.
Yeah.
But after the international break, on paper, we've got a slightly easier run. The first game after the international break, we've got Watford away at Vicarage Road.
Yep.
And we've got Ipswich at home. Then we've got Charlton away. And then we've got Swansea at home throughout September. So on paper, that's a slightly easier run. I would say the teams there, I mean, they're not going to be easy games by any stretch of imagination.
No,
each game are going to have their different set of challenges as well. So it remains to be seen how Rovers could do. But with the defeat that we had against Norwich, and there's no expectations, I think Rovers tend to do better when there's no expectation riding on us. We tend to thrive more with being the underdog. I don't know if you see it like that.
I feel like sometimes we seem to struggle more against teams that are expected to beat, and yet the teams that we don't expect to beat, we seem to thrive and do well against. And that's, again, like you said, that's a confidence thing. Maybe it's because there's no pressure on us when we're against the teams that we're not expected to do well against. So that they go into these games not feeling the pressure, so then they just play with more confidence. When they go into a game against the teams where they expect them to be winning, and then they don't play well because the expectations are, the pressure's on them, then they start to lack confidence. I think that's a Rovers trait that we've had for a while.
It's such a Blackburn Rovers thing, isn't it? I mean, the Norwich game, it showcases that, doesn't it? Back end of a good win, expected to do well, and then we lose. It's such a Blackburn Rovers thing, isn't it? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time with the Transfer Windows special on Totally Rovers. So, we'll see you next time, guys. See you later.
Hello, everybody.